McFly subscribers. So this is what we're going to be tying today. It is a surf candy in this color pattern. So I had a customer ask me to tie a surf candy in this color pattern, as you can see here. So this is what I came up with. He's happy with it. So I'm going to tie 5 of them for him. But today I'll bring you along for one of them. All right, so the hook today I'm using is the SL11 3H. They're quite strong and very sharp. You know, they're Gamakatsu. Great hooks. They're a little pricey. If you want something a little less expensive, I believe Resin does have a hook very similar to this, also quite strong. Okay, so you could definitely check that out. And the thread I'm using is this Danville's monofilament line. So you can use any kind of mono line. You could actually even go with non-mono, but the mono allows you to wrap clear. Okay, so it'll kind of disappear. But first, we are going to wrap a little bit of lead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I did 7 wraps with the last one. I think that's about right for what this needs. And the gentleman that had ordered from me wanted a little weight. All right, so we're just going to start the thread right up by the hook eye. We're going to make sure that that doesn't wrap all the way down by leaving this tag end here and jump over. Oh. We're going to leave the tag end, make a couple wraps there, and that allows us to jump over that. And now we can cut that off. And we can come right back up through it to make sure that that stays positioned. And you can see where I've got this position. So when he had asked for some weight, he had said that he wanted something like a fluke. He fishes a fluke a lot. He's just getting into fly fishing. He wanted something that'll jig. So I put a little bit of weight at the top to get it to do that diving jig motion. All right, so for material, I'm using something called Crystal Web. This one's hot pink, which I'm going to be using. But I've got a gray, a yellow, the hot pink. So those are the 3 colors I'm using. So we want a fair amount of this gray. Okay, that's probably what we're using the most of. When I say a fair amount, I don't mean like crazy amount, but about that should be good. Cut that off. All right, so we're going to measure this out to about 1, 2, 3, maybe 3.5 times the hook shank length. We're actually not going to use all that, but it'll give us a little bit of room, and that's plenty to work with. All right, so 2 to 3 wraps to hold it into place. And next I've got this. This is midge-sized crystal flash. I got 4 pieces. And this makes it really easy to tie in if you wet it. So it just kind of brings them all together. And we're going to bring that crystal flash back. So it's right about the same length as the other material. And crystal web is more clear and see-through. And this, you know, crystal flash, it's tinsel, so it's not clear. Okay, so we wrapped it right in the middle of the hank and then, or middle of the strands. Got 4 of them, and then we pulled it back right in the center of that tail there. And so now we've got basically a line. Now I've got regular sized crystal flash in silver as well. And I mean, you could use this only for the tail. I like the midge because it's, you can see the difference here. It's a finer material, so it looks more kind of like scales in my opinion. But this is going to work for getting the head or the body. Okay, we're going to wrap this around. All right, so let's start it right at the tail there. We can work our way up over like so. We want to keep this material right on top. Come up to right before the head. You can see I'm leaving a little bit of space there. Maybe come up just slightly more. Okay, I'm going to come back down because I got a lot of fibers that are not caught. The nice thing about this material or this thread is that it's clear. Okay, so you're not going to see all your thread wraps. All right, we're going to grab those. I've got 3 to 4 strands is what you used. We're just going to go ahead and start wrapping up the hook shank with that crystal flash to give a nice shiny abdomen on this, a nice shiny little body. And then we're just going to pull this fiber up and back like so. We can actually, you're out of frame here, but we can actually cut off the back there to be even. A little easier time, so it's not hanging off the back too far. And I find if I just wet this, I'll kind of keep all these materials nice and together for the next couple steps. So next we got this pink, and I'm just going to take about 3 or 4 strands. You don't need very many. And again, you want to wet it. It's just going to help keep everything together. And I'm going to tie this in right in the center, directly under, like so. Make a couple wraps to hold it in that back, and then we're going to pull this around to the other side. Going to wrap directly under. Pull everything around and come back up over that head that you had made. And you could really use this technique for any color combo that you want. This just happens to be what I'm tying. All right, so now the yellow. And the yellow, I'm using 5 strands. So I use 4 with the pink, at least in this, but you don't have to do it that way. Let's get our fingers in a little tighter, a little easier to do a pinch wrap, which I think I'm going to have to do here. Yep. There we go. And then I'm going to come up to where it's right behind the eye, and I'll wrap back like this. And so now we've created a pink bottom and a yellow top with a silver belly, or a silver lateral line, I guess. And now we can just simply finish the fly. And the tying portion is done. Next I got this is solarez thin formula. I start with this. I actually use 3 separate resins on this. You can get away with just the thin if you want, but so we're just kind of pulling it back like so. We're making sure that everything is nice and even. The pink is directly on the bottom, the yellow is directly on the top, and we got the gray center or silver center. So we are going to then just kind of put a little bit of resin on here like so. Make sure you get the belly. Then take, bodkin, make sure you spread this all around. There's no major lumps. The resin is kind of coating all the materials there. You want to look at it from the top and make sure it's not off to the side like so, because that can mess it up. You want it directly like so, okay? And then you also don't want it too far up or too far down. Just try to keep that nice and even. And then you just cure it into place. It only takes a second to kind of cure. You just want to see how nice and even that is. Perfect. All right, so now we're curing it further. You don't really have to go too crazy with this, but I like to give it a nice cure. This light is pretty powerful and it works pretty quickly. This is solarez's like high-powered light. They're not cheap. It's like $60 or something like that, 50 something, 60, somewhere around there, but it works really well. So next, we've got these little 3D eyes. This is like I think a 4mm. And we're just putting a really thin little dot of the thin formula right on there. Stick the eyes on. Okay. Make sure that they're even on top. Actually, I'm going to bring them back just a smidget, like so. Look at them all around, make sure they're not canted weird. Okay. And then pull it out of the vise. Look at it straight on. You can see one looks a little bit funky, so we're just gonna try to adjust that. And then cure that as quick as you can while it's there. It'll hold its position. hard to do right on off vice like that in the camera. But next I got this. This is medium viscosity. Okay, the solarez is medium viscosity. You know, I used to use the thick stuff here, but really like the medium for this. It just kind of flows a little better. So what I'm doing here is I put it between the eyes and on top, and then on the side, because those are 3D eyes, they bulge a little bit. You don't want to kind of cover that. You do want to put a little dot right there. Going to help fill that gap. Okay, and then come back in with this bodkin. Make sure everything's nice and even. And just spin it. Make sure you're continuing to spin it. And then when you cure it, do not put the thing really close. You want to pull it back a little bit to give a slower cure. Right now it's curing at the moment. And you just want to keep spinning it while you're curing it. Now you can come up a little bit closer once it started to cure. That'll help keep it curing nice and even, give a nice even coat. We are going to bulk this up just a little bit more. Kind of fill any what look like holes, or I guess areas that aren't as thick as others. And then always keep it spinning. All right. And then cure it from far. Keep it spinning, and then come closer. You're pretty much done. However, I like to add one more step, one more resin, and that's the solarez bone dry or ultra thin. Comes with a nice handy paintbrush, and literally just coat the whole thing with it. It's pretty thin stuff. Make sure everything's nice and coated. It's not going to add bulk, but it does add a really nice sheen, nice, finished look. And you know what? I just messed up and got a little bit in the eye of the hook. So we will fix that. Got this wire here from something I had foam. I just popped it out. There we go. So we're just gonna keep on spinning this until it's nice and even, and then cure it from far. And there we go. It's nice and cured. It's not tacky whatsoever. That's why I love this solarez stuff. It does cure without tack. For the final step, we're going to make a cut. I actually really like these razor scissors by McFly for this. You can use anything you want. You just pull this back straight. You start here and just make a angled cut. You can kind of pull your scissors through it. Okay. Kind of make it nice and tapered. And the same thing underneath. Go ahead and wet your fingers just to see how this looks. A little too long, I think, but there we go. And that is it, guys. Pretty simple. Not a very hard fly to tie once you get the hang of it. This resin really does make it quite easy. I love solarez. It's such good stuff. Nice little fly, and you can tie this in any color. Tie these bigger if you want, much bigger, or even smaller. I've tied them super small before. They work really well. These are a really good fly for when fish are targeting small little see-through bait fish, little fry or whatever. in both bass and saltwater or whatever it may be. Now this gentleman is going to be fishing the surf, hence surf candy is the name of it. It was designed to fish the surf. I'm forgetting the name. I want to say it's Popovic. That had I'm sure I'm saying his name wrong, but I think that was the original tire of this. I'm forgetting exactly, guys. So if I'm wrong, I'll put the info in the description section on who did originally tie this. Great all around fly, you know, but it was for salt, it was for the surf, hence the name, but became a popular fly even in bass fishing and whatnot. So it works for a bunch of different applications. So, well, if you haven't already, please check out my sponsor, Resin Fly. They are the ones that made the scissors that I use today. These ones, razor scissors, and then I have the standard 4-inch that I use for cutting everything else. But these razor scissors, super sharp and a little bit longer. Allows you to, you know, get a nice long cut on it, but they're just absolutely, I mean, they're called razor scissors for a reason. And you can adjust here how tight or loose that you want that to be. So if you want it to be even tighter and cut a little easier, or looser if it's a little too tight, allows you to do that. Really good price for what they are, and they've lasted me for a long time. I tie a lot of flies, and all my scissors, I mean, I have to go through scissors usually once a year, but these have lasted me 1.5 to 2 years already. So Resin, good job on the way your scissors are created. Granted, they are my sponsor, but that's not why I like them. I mean, for the obvious reasons that I explained, I do. So check those out. They sell hooks, they sell rods, they sell reels. Great deals on everything that they sell. And the best off, they're offering all of you a discount if you're my subscriber. So make sure you're my subscriber. Go ahead and subscribe, and then type in McFly at checkout when you go to www.resinfly.com, and you'll get 15% off of your first order with them with anything that you buy there. Thanks for watching. Please hit that like button if you don't mind. It helps me out and helps the channel out. And I will see you on the next video. Now you go catch some fish.